Well, folks, once again, good morning and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Captain Boat Builder. This is Captain Boat Builder down in my basement boatyard, enjoying a very comfortable temperature and humidity, getting ready to start again on another project. I'm going to call this one Begin at the Beginning. That's what I'm doing. I'm starting all over again from the beginning with a new build. And even though when I think about all the things that have to be done, all the steps that have to be taken, it does seem a little overwhelming. But just remember, like they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So that's what I'm starting to do, is take those single steps. So here it is, begin at the beginning. We're going to start with what Russell Brown starts with in the very first part of the construction manual, is building a flat table. And I wish that I had done this with my previous builds. Down here in the basement boatyard, I have two really nice workbenches, but both of them are too small. So you'll see the construction of the flat table, and I will have to admit that if I had just done it simply the way Russell Brown did it, I would have had a much better table and it would have been much more adjustable. A little bit about unboxing the parts, which can be sort of boring. The point that I want to make more than once is that the parts were so well packed by Chesapeake Lightcraft that there was no damage. And again, we'll start with the puzzle joints, connecting the planks. You've seen this before. I did deviate a little bit from Russell Brown's technique. I think it's a little simpler, and did wind up with really nice puzzle joints. And I'll show you some shots at the end to show you just how finely cut these things are. I don't know whether Chesapeake Lightcraft has new CNC cutters or whether they're just using fresh blades. I don't know what the deal is, but the fit on these is absolutely perfect. I can't tell you how good the fit is. So once again, episode number 2, we're going to begin at the beginning. In the instruction manual, the very first thing that Russell talks about is a flat table, a surface for working. Here you can see I've taken my sawhorses, modified the tops, extended the legs to get them up a little bit higher. They're now approximately 36 inches off the floor. What I'm finding from looking at many videos of people working on these boats in their shops, it's nice to have what they call a flat table that's about the height of your waist. Could be up or down a little bit, but the idea is you don't want to bend over while you're working on this project. You want to stand up straight as much as you can. It's a lot easier on your back, I can tell you that from experience. I also found out that the concrete floor in my basement is relatively flat. I've used relatively level, I should say. I've used the level in many places, moved it around, and I found that the floor is pretty darn level. And I think that probably has something to do with the idea that when they pour concrete, it has, to a certain extent, a self-leveling capability. It just kind of lays out like water. So I started with the sawhorses, modified to what I think is the correct height, about 36 inches. And also, I'm pretty confident that the floor is flat. So here's my flat table. This is 1 inch, it's not really an inch, they call it an inch. This is 1 inch MDF. It's a 4x8 sheet. It's very easy to screw through, screw down to the sawhorses. And just as a reminder, don't forget to round the edges because the pointed edges are just at the wrong level and they'll get you right in the hip. Also, I'm not sure it was really necessary, but I did put a network of 2x4s on the bottom to help stabilize it. They're glued to the bottom with liquid nails. Works pretty well. And also screwed from the top with 1.5 inch sheetrock screws. So here's my flat table. As I crawl around on the floor, I can tell you already, I'm enjoying the idea of working in a standing position. Just a little update for you on my work table. After I used it for a while, I was starting to realize that it wasn't quite as flat as I thought it was, and that the OSB did bend just a little bit. You can see here, now that I've fixed it, if you look down the side, you can see there's just a slight wrinkle in it. And what I've had to do is I've had to use 2x4s in the corners, shimmed up. Had to shim up all the corners to get this thing flat. This side is, I think this side's actually a little bit straighter. Yeah, it's pretty straight. And the other thing I wanted to do was to recheck and make sure that it's level. Level this way, level this way, level this way, level in all directions. But I did find that I had to shim up my work platform with 2x4s and shims in addition to the legs that it's already sitting on. But now it's level and it's flat, and I've taken the wrinkles out. Just wanted to show you the pile of parts. I've unpacked everything from Chesapeake Lightcraft. You can see they're not very well organized, but that's okay. I'm not going to go through this because if you look at other videos, you can see all the parts neatly laid out. I did just want to show you one particular part. This is the dagger board. You can see how beautifully machined it is, so you get a really nice foiled shape. I'm quite happy with that. One thing that I did find was these parts were so well packed with so much tape. Not only was there no damage, but it took me forever, I mean forever, to unpack all the individual parts. So my hat's off to Chesapeake Lightcraft for, if anything, overpacking. Not a single piece was damaged. These are the planks for the top sections of the boat. And over here on my table, you can see I've got all the hull pieces laid out. And they're laid out just like they show in the pictures. I'm getting ready to glue all the puzzle joints. One thing I wanted to show you that's kind of interesting is they have reference marks here on these pieces. So you can line everything up and get them exactly in the right place. Fore and aft, they're all referenced. These marks are for the daggerboard case. And up here, these marks are for the correct positioning of the mast step. So I'll have to hand it to them. This is a beautifully laid out kit. They've thought about just about everything. I'm starting the process now, where I'm going to be gluing the puzzle joints together. This is the setup that was recommended in the instruction manual. I'm using my clamps just to hold the pieces vertically. The nice thing is, if there's going to be any dripping, it just drips straight down. I've got some plastic on the floor, takes care of that. You can see that I've got my work table now completely covered, so nothing's going to stick to anything. And also right here, you can see this is the first application of unthickened resin. You can see how it sinks into the wood quickly with the end grain. So I'm going to wait about 10 minutes and put another coat on, and then I'll show you how I'm going to clamp them all together. It's a little bit different than the instructions. I've done this before, and I think I might have found a little bit easier way. So after I applied the second coat of resin to the puzzle joint, I put these two pieces together. I'm just doing them two at a time. And I've used quite a few clamps to make sure that they're perfectly aligned, so that this side are perfectly aligned throughout the whole length, and the length is exactly right at this end. At the other end, the length is not quite right, but that's going to be pretty easy to remedy. But the clamps will keep it from moving. Instead of using the technique of the strips of wood and the nails, what I've done is I've used a 2x4 and also a can of resin to push down on it. Got this clamped down about as tight as I can get it, so the two pieces are being squished together so that the puzzle joints will be as flat as possible. And again, as a reminder, just be sure that there's plastic in between all the layers so that they don't stick. Another thing that I did that I'm hoping will save some time, and I'll be able to let you know about that in the future, is I've wiped down carefully the outside of the joints, the flat surfaces, with just a microfiber and some denatured alcohol. Very, very loosely saturated, so that I won't have quite so much resin to sand off when I'm preparing these particular planks for the fiberglass. So this is the first one. There'll be a lot more, and I won't subject it to that, but I have made a few changes, and I'll let you know how it works. So as a quick tutorial, here's the first coat of resin on the 4-ounce cloth, and you can see the weave clearly. This is just the beginning of a 3-step process. So folks, as we finish up today, I want to go back to the puzzle joints and back to what I said about the quality of the cutting and the fit of all these parts that we get from Chesapeake Lightcraft. And I just want to show you here a close-up of a completed puzzle joint, all glued up. There's one on one plank. Here's one on another plank. And if you can, I want you to concentrate on the fit. These things were so tight and so perfectly cut that I had to actually use very, very fine sandpaper just in the beginning to get the joints to actually close. So again, the fit and the finish of the puzzle joints, and for that matter, the entire boat, is just perfect. I can't tell you how impressed I am. So I hope you've enjoyed this little episode. In the beginning, we're in the beginning. And look forward to seeing you again. So long.